AskReddit by Brianna 6871. What has caused you to become bitter? Being with my company for 8 years, then finding out new people that I trained make more than me. If it makes you feel any better, this is very common. Loyalty is overrated. The more you stay, the more they take you for granted. I also made the same mistake. Attempting to stay in contact with friends and then realizing they wouldn't do the same for you once you stop. I agree. I used, and still do, to some extent, to have the mentality of don't make it into a competition. If you care about someone, contact them, and I did. But after 10 times of being the one initiating the conversation, I just wonder if they'd bother to do the same. Each time they say I've been meaning to call you and they never do. And I'm talking good friends who share history together, not someone I met a month ago at the gym. I still love them, of course, but this bugs me and leaves a bitter taste whenever I think of them. Expectations. I had these expectations about how life was supposed to go, how I was supposed to be. Life didn't work out that way, and I know it was my own doing by having those expectations, but I'm still bitter about it. The rejected friends theme. Working in healthcare. Worked a decade in healthcare, 7 years in the military and 3 as a civilian. Every professional I have met, from the doctor on down to the nursing assistant, was burned out and sick of seeing patients. It was amazing I stayed as long as I did. Aging and realizing that good, kind people suffer and die far more often than the shitheads of the world. Sensitivity to injustice, suffering, etc. brings stress, and stress kills. The death of my wife. Mine too, 18 days ago. Seeing too many bad things happen to people who are too good for this. Also seeing too many people get away with really bad things. And others not even seeking to get a chance for something good. After realizing that hard work is not fairly rewarded. Someone else who is lazier and or less competent can get something that you wanted deserved, and there's nothing you can do about it. Success in the workplace has little to do with personal ability, work ethic, or results. Success is measured by how well you play the game and who you know. Showing kindness and in turn being treated like a stepping stone for someone's ego. I'm sorry that's happened. I definitely know the feeling. I had a few people that were close friends who took advantage of my kindness toward them a few years ago. It sucks. Realizing my childhood trauma left me unable to form meaningful relationships, and now I have to invest a fuck ton of money and time to maybe achieve some sort of progress and peace. I envy the people who grew up with loving parents and have the confidence to choose good friends, partners, and look at life with hope. Life is really hard when not only did your parents give you childhood trauma but also didn't teach you any life skills, interpersonal skills, relationships, money, career, you name it. Sucks having to learn all these things on your own. Working full time and interacting with the general public. People are freaking stupid, man. The unshakable hopelessness that the world is only getting worse and worse. No matter what we do to try and better ourselves financially, we'll be met with some new corporate bullshittery that will knock us back down. I'm losing my motivation to keep pressing forward. I just want to retreat into my apartment and do what makes me happy until I die. Working on my master's in education right now, and as much as I want to teach in school, all the horror stories I see all over the place are making me wonder if this is the right choice. It really feels like I'm jumping into a bureaucratic hellhole, but I've invested this much time, money, and energy into this career that I have to see it through. My ex cheated on me. My job told me a bunch of lies to get me in the door, and now I feel mistreated. Housing is a nightmare and landlords just take your application money and give the place to someone else. It feels like everybody is just out for themselves and I can't trust what anyone says. I'm tired. Till rental application fees exist in the US. How can that be legal? I get pretty bitter when I think about how I've developed a second incurable disability from simply trying to exist with the incurable disability I was born with. I feel this. I was diagnosed with a chronic autoimmune disease 10 years ago and I have just been collecting illnesses since then. I'm on so many meds just to deal with the side effects of the meds I take to treat the initial illness. People. What a bunch of bastards. Being ignored for most of my life. I've always been really quiet and many people talk over me. Not only that, but once I moved all my friends ignored me. I guess since I'm not around to bring the marijuana or buy the beer, I'm not worth talking to. They can't even take a minute to reply to "Hey, how are you doing?" So yeah, I feel you. Growing up in a household with unstable finances. Love my parents and everything they did. But the lack of resources really impacted who I grew up into. Took a toll on all my social relationships, family, friends, partners. No matter how much I try, I can't get the money-related anxiety out of my system. Financial trauma poverty is real. Knowing I'll be working until the day my ass dies. I won't get to retire and enjoy some years not working. I'm so fucking exhausted with the hustle. Fuck work. They took away our one incentive. You can't block out the light at the end of the tunnel and then expect people to keep digging. Everything becoming monetized. I'm not a person anymore, so much as a means to make a buck for someone or some corporate entity. Years of people stomping my kindness, my loyalty, my trust, and my feelings. Years of people making everything that happens to me sound like it's not a big deal. Years of people demanding my help, but never being there for me. I may have let some of it happen, but I didn't deserve to be abused. Had a girl I drove to work every day for a long time sleep with my boyfriend. Makes you feel like you should do the same sometimes. Politics. I genuinely struggle to see the good in politicians. All I see is hatred, greed, idiocy and psychopathic behavior. It drives me insane. They're pretty tickled at how divided the people are. They just have to keep us scared, angry, mentally ill, poisoned, and distracted, and they can keep us attached to an ancient rusty anchor forever. They're afraid of a united, calm populace that realizes it can represent itself online in an instant, and half of what politicians do can be handled by a simple voting app. Politicians are an old idea that are greedily maintaining the status quo and postponing a larger, healthier dialogue about how it all could be done better. Seeing an entire generation scratching and struggling financially despite their education for increasingly greedy and unreasonable employers. And politicians acting like it isn't happening and the status quo just needs a little tweaking. The death of my donkey. The loss of any ass is hard to bear. As a teacher, parents not parenting. Too many kids raised by kids acting like kids for way too long. To realize that humanity isn't as good as I used to believed. Homeless guy got into my truck while I was at work yesterday and stole the clean clothes I had for work for the week. Most of it fell and was then picked up by the cleaning crew passing by. Saw it all on the security footage. Lost my 2 favorite sweaters, one that my mom gifted me. The best part? I'm also homeless RN, so yeah, I just can't believe people. I still believe good people exist, but every hit feels harder and harder. Just rambling now, sorry. All the corruption and unfairness in the world. It's so rampant and everywhere. I used to believe that good would prevail and that we actually lived in a free country, USA. Now, at 46 years old, I won't trust our government with a pack of crayons. Went to law school to become a crown prosecutor one day, got my wish, and it was a very eye-opening experience. Lasted a year. Would never go back. Edited, typo. Nothing ever being good enough for my family. I graduated college but didn't get a high enough GPA. I got into a grad school program but it's too easy and waste of my time. I moved home because my mom wanted me to, but now I'm a freeloader. I offered to pay rent and I buy my own groceries as well as pay my other bills. The list goes on. If I'll never be good enough, why even try? Sorry to hear that, man. I experienced similar from my mom. I've essentially cut ties with her. Haven't seen her in over 6 years. My daughter died just shy of her 3rd birthday for inexplicable reasons. The suffering is so unbearable it becomes a struggle not to hate happiness and not be resentful at everything. Big hugs from one mom to another, absolutely heartbreaking. Just an overall feeling as long as I can remember that I don't belong or fit in here. People mostly suck. The older I've gotten, the more clear it has become. Dating apps. Gave up on them a long time ago when I realized what they were doing to me, but it feels like you can't get anywhere without them these days. Knowing that the older generations were able to afford a house, vacations, and raise kids on a single postal worker's salary. Don't forget the $30,000 house they bought that they paid off 20 years ago is now worth $300,000. Constantly being asked, told to do more and more and more, and then being told I don't do enough or I've done it wrong. Just freaking do it yourself then. That our entire society enables and rewards and exclusively benefits the worst, while good people who care about others and do what is expected of them get screwed endlessly. Lying, cheating, stealing, exploitation, misinformation, ignorance, hate, bigotry, greed, corruption, etc. are all rampant right now because that is what works. That is what politicians listen to and what media networks across the board get ratings profit from. Society will endlessly cater and try to appease the idiots and assholes, while those who follow the rules and act with empathy and kindness get kicked in the teeth. This is something I came to realize during COVID, and I've been struggling with depression ever since. Struggling with why I should continue giving a shit about anyone but myself when it's never gotten me ahead or helped me out or brought me any benefits. Instead, I feel I struggle every single day and have to run just to stand still. Experiencing how differently I get treated by people just because I lost weight. Seriously, I used to date someone overweight and the way people would act sometimes was nuts. I've always been on the thinner side, but that's just my shell. It's wild, some can't look past it. Pouring my heart and soul into my teaching career and not making enough money to support myself. Getting a degree that only ended in major debt. The state of the world. That people are either dumb or awful. Becoming sick of people taking advantage of my kindness toward them. Holy crap, this thread is depressing. I mean, what were you expecting? Consequences for the working class, bailouts for the rich. Working front desk at an orthopedic office in a affluent retirement community. These people are so fucking rude and the entitlement is absurd. I used to think older people were wise and that you should respect your elders, but instead I fucking hate each and every one of them. They made me bitter. I'm so tired of the narrative that age equals wisdom. You can have a lot of experiences in life and not learn jack shit from them, and you can also have few experiences but extrapolate profound, insightful lessons from them that guide you for the rest of your life. Giving my blood, sweat, tears, etc. to a company for 31 loyal years only to be shown the door without severance and not considered a retiree. Nobody gives a fuck about me, more than me. Or at all, for that matter. Being the nice good girl, due to upbringing and societal pressures, most of my life, and realizing that shit gets you nowhere except bullied, used and taken for granted. I literally hate everyone right now, and the older I get the more jaded, bitter and guarded I become. Proud of myself for finally standing up for myself and setting boundaries though. Setting boundaries after being a people pleaser is a big step. Proud of ya. The way the system is rigged against the little guy. I used to believe in the American dream, but it's not a thing anymore. It's nearly impossible to graduate high school, get a degree, get a good paying job, buy a house, have a family, etc. in the current economic system in the United States. My mother. Constantly being let down by people. I work in emergency services. I see the worst of the worst in people every single day. The world is full of terrible people that thrive despite deserving nothing more than an unceremonious .22 caliber behind the ear and a burial in a landfill. Very good people end up suffering every day because of these awful people, and I get to see that suffering on a daily basis. Oh, just, gestures at everything. People. It's always people.